There are places on long highways that you wish you'd never stopped at. Places that look normal but feel wrong. Places that remember you long after you leave. This is one of those stories. U/Trucker Ghost 77 posted this back in November 2025, and he swears every word is true. It happened to him on East 70 through Kansas. A trucker named Jack Harlan who took a wrong exit and found a gas station that should not exist. Jack Harlan was 38 years old, divorced, with a teenage daughter he barely saw anymore. He drove 18-wheelers out of St. Louis, hauling freight across the Midwest. He'd been doing it for 15 years and prided himself on knowing every rest stop, truck stop, and gas station between Ohio and Colorado. It was October 17th, 2025. Jack had been driving for 14 hours straight, fighting sleep, when his fuel gauge dipped into the red. The low fuel warning beeped insistently. He was in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. Flat, empty highway, stretching forever in both directions. No exits, no lights, just darkness and the endless white line. Then he saw it. Up ahead, maybe 5 miles off, a cluster of lights appeared on the horizon. A gas station. Neon sign reading Sunset 66 Gas and Snacks. Looked open. Jack let out a sigh of relief and took the exit. The station sat alone in a sea of cracked asphalt and waist-high grass. 3 pumps under a rusted metal canopy. A single car parked crooked by the air pump. A faded '92 Honda Civic with no license plates, windows down, empty inside. The store itself glowed sickly yellow from buzzing fluorescent lights. A handwritten sign in the door read, "Open 24/7" in red marker. Jack parked at pump number 3, grabbed his wallet and walked inside. The bell above the door jingled weakly. The air smelled wrong. Stale cigarettes mixed with something metallic he couldn't place. The floor tiles were peeling up at the corners, yellowed with age. A Slurpee machine sat silent in the corner. The labels faded to ghosts of blue and red. Candy racks half empty. Beef jerky packages covered in dust. Behind the counter stood the cashier, male, late 20s, greasy ponytail, wearing a faded black polo shirt with the Sunset 66 logo. His name tag read Jack. He looked up slowly from a magazine, and Jack Harlan froze in the doorway. The cashier had his face. Not just similar. Exact same. Same tired hazel eyes. Same stubble pattern on his jawline. Same small crescent-shaped scar above his left eyebrow from a bar fight back in 2009. Jack hadn't seen his own reflection that clearly in months, but he knew that face. It was staring back at him from 10 feet away. "You get turned around out there?" the cashier asked. His voice was identical too, same gravelly Missouri accent Jack had grown up with. Jack blinked hard, shook his head. No, just need gas. Regular, $40. He slapped 2 20s on the counter and walked back outside, pulse hammering in his temples. Had to be a relative. Cousin maybe. Small world. At the pump, he grabbed the nozzle and squeezed. The gas flowed normally at first, but after a few seconds, the smell hit him. Coppery, thick, like blood mixed with gasoline. He glanced at the pump display, $40 exactly. The nozzle clicked off. He hung it up and grabbed his receipt from the slot. The paper was warm, almost damp, printed across the top in block letters. Jack Harlan. Estimated return, 17 minutes. Jack stopped breathing for a second. How the hell did the pump know his name? He crumpled the receipt and tossed it into the weeds. Sleep deprivation, that's all. He climbed into his rig and pulled back onto I-70, watching Sunset 66 shrink in his mirrors until it vanished. Exactly 17 minutes later, the fuel warning beeped again. Jack slammed on his brakes, 18 wheels locking up across both lanes. He checked the gauge, bone dry. Impossible. He'd just put in $40 worth. He looked around wildly. Same empty highway. No exits, no turnoffs. But there it was again, 5 miles ahead. Sunset 66, neon sign glowing. This isn't right, he muttered to himself. His hands shook as he took the exit. Same cracked parking lot, same rusted Civic, same buzzing lights. He parked at pump 3 again and sat there for a full minute, staring at the store door. Part of him screamed to drive away, but he needed fuel to make Denver by morning. The bell jingled as he walked in. Same peeling tiles, same dead Slurpee machine. The cashier looked up from the same magazine, but this time he looked younger. Early 20s maybe. Face still identical to Jack's, but smoother skin, fuller cheeks, hair thicker and less gray. "Back already," the cashier said with a smile. His teeth were yellower than before. Pumps must be acting up. Jack didn't respond. He threw down 220s and went back to the pump. The nozzle felt heavier this time. The liquid inside moved slower, syrupy. That copper smell was stronger now, choking. He filled up, grabbed the receipt, and got out of there fast. Jack Harlan. Estimated return. 14 minutes. Time balance. Minus 17 minutes. Jack floated back onto the highway. His dashboard clock read 3:01 a.m. He'd beaten the receipt by 3 minutes. Just a glitch. A prank. He laughed nervously and turned up the country radio. 14 minutes later, the fuel warning beeped. The third time Jack pulled into Sunset 66, he was sweating through his flannel shirt. Same everything, same Civic, same lights. But the cashier was younger still, mid-teens now. Acne scars dotted his cheeks. The exact same pattern Jack remembered from high school. The kid couldn't have been more than 16. "You're late," the cashier said, not smiling anymore. Jack's mouth went dry. "Just gas, same as before." He pumped without looking at the nozzle. It smelled like chemicals now. Formaldehyde mixed with gasoline. The receipt read, balance, minus 28 minutes. He drove away shaking. This wasn't possible. GPS showed him 30 miles east of where he'd started. But every time the tank emptied, Sunset 66 reappeared. The fourth stop broke him. He didn't even go inside for change. Just sat at the pump, staring at the store through his windshield. The cashier was younger still, maybe 12 or 13. Watching him through the glass. Not blinking, Jack stumbled out of the truck and made for the restrooms around back. Anything to avoid that face. The men's room door hung crooked on one hinge, sign upside down. Inside smelled like mold and urine. A single fluorescent bulb flickered at 3 pulses per second, casting the cracked mirror in stuttering light. He leaned close to splash water on his face. That's when he saw it. The man in the mirror wasn't quite him anymore. Jack's reflection had his face, but the eyes were more sunken, skin grayer, cheeks hollower. And he was missing teeth. 2 molars on the bottom right that Jack knew was still there. "What the hell?" Jack muttered. He wrote help on the foggy mirror with his finger. The reflection copied him perfectly, but 3 seconds delayed. Jack stopped moving. Watched. His reflection kept going. It waved slowly, smiled with too many teeth, then pointed deliberately at the empty space behind Jack's right shoulder. Jack spun around, Nothing but damp cinder block wall. He ran back to his truck. Fifth stop. The cashier was 10 years old now, barefoot, standing on a milk crate to see over the counter. Same scar above the eyebrow. Same hazel eyes. "Play with me, Jack," the boy said. Jack grabbed the nozzle without a word. Black liquid gurgled out, thick as oil. White flecks floated inside. Teeth, they were teeth. Balance minus 59 minutes. "Welcome home," Jack snapped. He stormed inside, grabbed the kid cashier by both shoulders. "What is this place? Why do you look like me?" The boy just grinned and hopped off the milk crate. Walked behind the counter to a door Jack hadn't noticed before. A solid metal door with no handle, no window. The kid knocked 3 times. It swung inward. "Come see," the boy said. Against every instinct screaming at him to run, Jack followed. The back room was wrong. Concrete box, no shelves, no stock. Just a single bare bulb swinging overhead. The air felt wet, heavy. A calendar hung on the far wall. October 17th, 2008. 17 years ago. Pinned all around it were photographs, hundreds of them. Every picture showed Jack Harlan's face, at every age from infant to 38. Under each one, written in red marker, "Fuel deposit." In the center of the room sat a folding table. On it lay Jack's truck keys, his wallet, his cell phone. All items he'd left locked in his cab 20 minutes ago. He hadn't touched them since the first stop. "You never left," the boy said, giggling. "Pump number 7 runs on you. Has for 17 years. Jack turned to run. The door was gone. Smooth concrete where it had been. The walls pulsed faintly, wetly, like breathing. The boy behind him laughed. A sound that shifted from child to adult to old man in seconds. Jack spun around. The kid was growing, stretching. 12, 20, 38. Matching Jack's age exactly. "Stay," it said in Jack's own voice. "Fuel the loop." Jack doesn't remember how he escaped. One second he was pounding on seamless walls. The next, he was sitting in his truck at pump number 7, nozzle still in his hand, dawn light breaking gray on the horizon. The tank was full. Sunset 66 stood dark and boarded up behind him, windows smashed, open 24/7. Sign lying shattered in the dirt. He drove to Denver shaking, convinced it was sleep deprivation. A hallucination brought on by too many hours on the road. He never told anyone. 2 weeks later, hauling another load through Kansas, 2:47 a.m. Fuel warning beeped. 5 miles ahead, neon lights appeared from nowhere. Sunset 66. Jack drove past and kept driving. 50 miles, 100. Fuel gauge stayed full. He pulled into a Love's truck stop outside Salina, hands trembling as he fueled up on a normal pump with a normal receipt. He thought he was safe. 3 months later, U/Trucker Ghost 77 posted his story to Reddit. It got 47 upvotes before he deleted his account. His final comment, 2 days before. Vanishing. Stopped counting the loops. I'm typing this on receipt paper from pump number 7. If you see Sunset 66 off I-70 between Salina and Hayes, drive past. Some gas stations don't run on gasoline. They run on truckers. Forever. Next time you're driving empty highways at 3 a.m. and see a lonely station up ahead, keep going. What haunts your night drives? Tell me below. Like, subscribe. Sleep tight.